Welcome back to another SCBWI Featured Illustrator interview. My name is Tamika Grooms, and I'm the Design and Illustration Manager for SCBWI. Every month, we select an Illustrator member to highlight on our SCBWI website and social media pages to spotlight the work that they're doing in the children's book market. Today's featured illustrator is Mike Ciccotello. Mike, thank you so much for being here with me today. I don't know if I said your name correctly.
I welcome all interpretations of my last name. And the way that I pronounce it is Ciccotello. And I always welcome interpretations because I like to see what people are going to come up with. Because my grandfather, if we ever hear the one that is pronounced Ciccotello, my grandfather always had ready to say, "I'm sick of telling you, it's Ciccotello." So I
Okay.
give him full credit for that. Um, and it's Ciccotello. But again, any interpretation is fine.
Okay. All right. I'll remember. Ciccotello.
Ciccotello. You
Okay.
can
Got
dance
it.
to it if you say it like enough with some rhythm. You go Ciccotello, Ciccotello.
Yes. Yes. All right. Well, we have a lot to talk about today. I want to hop right into it. Let me first tell you a little bit about why I chose you as the featured illustrator for this month. I do believe that you submitted your work through our portal for the SCBWI featured illustrator, correct?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Okay, so that's probably where I saw you come through, but we've met in person as well.
Mhm.
Um, so I just want to encourage people to just submit to the Featured Illustrator portal if you are interested in being an illustrator. There are dimensions that we're looking for, so it has to be a wide enough image to be able to use. But the reason why I chose your work in particular is because your characters were very animated, dynamic, and I really enjoyed the visual storytelling that you had within each image. And so I could tell that you could tell stories visually. And I suspect that you're also a writer. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. And so we're gonna take a look at some of your work, and let's just go ahead and hop on over to that real quick. So one of the images that I really enjoyed, even though this isn't the one that we selected, but this one, we're going
Hmm.
into the summertime, and this illustration really stood out to me. Tell me a little bit about this one and how you came up with this image.
So this image is from Beach Toys versus School Supplies, a book published that I wrote and illustrated, published by FSG Macmillan. Um, This was actually the first scene that I came up with when I was when I was coming up with the idea for the book. And it all started with the shovel and the ruler. And we obviously have the two teams here, like school versus beach toys versus school supplies, with the whistle in the middle, because the whistle could be beach toy or a school supply. Um, but it was all from trying to find personality in an inanimate object. And I was looking for a back to school theme.
Mm.
And I was sitting up back with my boys playing in their sandbox, and there was a shovel staring at me, and the shovel actually had eyes on it. And I so inanimate objects, I think, can hold a lot of personality, and I definitely think about characters that way. There could be a character in anything, and finding the personality in the object and bringing that to life is a lot of fun. And you do that, just you can see a lot of emotion in the eyes and the body language. So there's a lot of tension in this one image. So yeah, just bringing characters to life, bring objects to life as characters. That's a lot of fun to me.
Mhm. How did you get into, I want to come back to this image, but how did you get into doing inanimate objects? Like, because it's not something that everybody can actually do well. Like, I'm not the type of artist that does that well. What got you into doing
Lots of daydreaming.
that? Okay.
No, I think it's a lot of movies, and I was influenced a lot by animation. Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin,
Mhm.
Speed Buggy is another good one, another great example. The Pixar Lamps, the Luxo Jr. Short, animated short. So seeing these inanimate objects have personality and move and move with emotion. And I think the best example that I have, the moment that really hit me was when I was watching Aladdin and seeing carpet, the magic carpet, the first time they meet in that cavern, and that where all the jewels are, and seeing the emotion that they put into carpet, and thinking that, wow, there's so much emotion in this character, and there's no eyes, there's no
Mm,
hands, there's no feet, there's no, the body, the movement, everything was just, there was so much emotion packed into it. And the way that the artists were able to convey that without eyes was amazing to me. And I said, I want to be able to do something like that. Now, my characters do have eyes,
mhm.
but that definitely got me on the path of thinking about objects in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And you also go beyond the eyes. It's the little arms that are on here, the stance that each one of them are taking. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's actually a good point. And to think about if you look at scissors, no arms or legs, and
Mhm.
how that character moves, and then look at shovel. Shovel doesn't have any feet; it's just the handle, and he hops when he walks. So actually thinking through the movement and the form and function of the object, like beach ball, the original character design of beach ball, that air valve was on the top, like a point of hair on top of his head, but it served the purpose better to be the nose. So I redesigned it to have it as the nose, thinking of the form and function of the object and how it's going to serve the character best.
Yeah. Um, as I looked at this image, as you kind of talk through it, I see even more and more things. So, and that's the great thing about great art as well. I also enjoyed this one, is this little one in the middle, because it reminded me of when I was a little girl, being at the grocery store and sitting in those spaceship and horsey and all those type
Yeah.
of things. And do you have a story for this one that's written already?
I am working on a story for this one. I've tried and I just haven't found her story yet. But this image in particular did I don't remember the year that I created it. I forget what year it was. I submitted it to SCBWI to be included in the art being brought to Bologna,
Mhm.
and it what made it as a finalist. So it traveled to the Bologna Children's Book Conference there, the Bologna Book Fair, and was on display at the SCBWI booth. I never went, but my art did, so which is kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah. Your art will go places that you can't go sometimes, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Let's see what, so we have lots of sequential art, kind of comic style. Were comics a big influence of yours when you were younger?
Absolutely. Comic strips, especially, were a huge influence. I mean, I definitely read my fair share of comic books. Um, the comic strips, my biggest influences were Bloom County, Calvin and Hobbes, probably mostly Calvin and Hobbes, and the humor of the Far Side.
Hmm.
Um, but Calvin and Hobbes, especially, I just love the layered storytelling, the characters, and it's just I find so much in it, even more now than I did as a kid, because you see that from the kid's perspective, when you read it when they're that young, but then as an adult, you get the adult's perspective and then the philosophy perspective. There's just so many layers to it. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about this? Because one of the things that I enjoyed about your artwork is also that it's not just the characters, but you're bringing in storytelling in the environments as well. Um,
Mm.
and there's a lot of like what happened before and what's going to happen next when I see the images. So, what inspired this piece?
This piece I was working out. Actually, this piece is part of a bigger thing. Well, I'll start at the beginning. I was working with this ghost character and trying to find a story for this ghost character. And eventually I did find a story, and I'll tell you about that. But at this point, it was trying on different props and trying to be something different. And looking for, just play and different like costumes to wear or something like that. And I wanted to have the setting, this kind of creepy setting, but have it kind of approachable too, because we see in the back there's like labeled boxes, and this is somebody's attic, and it could be anybody's attic, really. Um, so we have this moment of the ghost. There's probably something that happened before. There's going to be something after, and we want to see, maybe we want to see what the ghost is going to pick out of this trunk of what the ghost is going to wear, or how is this ghost going to wear it? Because don't things maybe go through the ghost, or why is the ghost able to pick these things up? So I think I'm most interested to see what happens next. So this is like the poem, that moment of the page turn. That's what's going to be on the next page. Are you going to see some goofy outfit on the ghost or something like that? And this wound up actually, I'm working on this book right now. It's called Leonard Builds a Haunted House. And it has nothing to do with this scene, but this was the initial idea of the character. And the book is going to come out in, I believe it's July of 25, and it's published by FSG Macmillan. Um, so it's just interesting to see where an idea starts, and then where, you know, where it turns into something else and actually becomes the story and becomes the book that it's going to be. This has
Mm.
taken, it's been a really interesting journey with this character.
Well, I'm excited to see what you come up with this. Well, once it's released, is
Thank you.
yeah. Okay, so if you want to learn more about Mike's work, please hop over to our his member profile on the SCBWI website. You can also check out. Can you see your website screen here?
Yes, yes, I do.
Okay, you can also check out his website as well. So I just want to thumb through some of the images. We'll move through these very briefly. I love these characters.
Thank you.
I want to hop down to one that I really enjoyed. We didn't select this one. Um, this one right here, the
Oh,
robot
I
bus.
really like this one a lot. I'm hoping for a story for this one eventually. Yeah.
Um,
Um,
Tell us about this one.
Well, I was coming up with a promotional a postcard. I was trying to come up with a school theme promotional postcard, and I probably came up with this idea in August, and I wanted to do something like back to school. And I was really into drawing robots a lot. I think I had an Inktober. I was doing the Inktober drawing challenge, and I had a robot kind of like truck, and this was the developed version of that. This became the developed version of that truck, which turned into the school bus or the school bot. And I think it's interesting that, like, wouldn't it be cool to be a kid going to school and be literally picked up by the bus to go to school? And just think how fun that be would that be? And where's the school? Like, where is this going to take them? What kind of school is it? What does the school look like? Is it a robot school? Like, if the bus is this cool, I can only imagine how cool the school is going to be, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this is something that I can develop. And I'm very interested in this character, the school bot, and the kids that are at the school bus or
Yeah.
at the school.
Exciting stuff. I would love to see. That's why I showed this one. I would love to see this one actually produced. So maybe one day.
Maybe
So
one day. Thank you.
yeah, there's lots of artwork for you all to check out here on the website. Before we go, there's one really big reason why I also wanted to talk to you, Mike. You do something that's very unusual, and you really put yourself out there on your website, on your socials, as a person who can present themselves on, at
Thank
school
you for
visits.
thinking so.
Definitely, definitely. So, when people go to your website, they'll be able to see that you do school visits as an author illustrator, and that you do some really engaging presentations. So, tell us a little bit about any advice you have for illustrators who want to do this type of extra work, because it's important to sell the books as well.
It is. Yeah, no, it absolutely is. It's a great way. I think you could think of a school visit as first off, it's a great way to get your book out there. It's a great way to engage with the children. It's a great way to spread the word about who you are as an author illustrator and where you're coming from and with your storytelling, and um, what ways that you can engage with children beyond the book. It could be, you know, whether it's activities or um, like something I like to do is talk about imagination and how we can welcome boredom into our lives, as boredom is the gateway to creativity. When you allow yourself to be bored, you allow space for your mind to think. and to open up to ideas. And that's where a lot of ideas for books and characters and all your stories that we create come from, and that initial space that we give it with boredom. So uh, school visits for me have, yes, it can be an addition to income because they're paid visits. So there's the monetary side of it is like building your business. There's the engagement factor of reaching out to children and spreading the word and engaging them and being excited about books. There's the promoting your books and getting your books out there to a wider audience. If you're trying to build yourself as an author and an illustrator or one or the other, you can more people are going to know about your books if you start doing school visits because you're hitting a wider audience very quickly. And it really is, I absolutely love it because I love spending time with the kids. We do even like I'll do a lunch in the middle of the day where I can engage with a smaller group and see what they're working on and talk about their projects. And we, just give them the any sort of boost that the kids need to
Mhm.
see that, hey, everybody starts somewhere and we all as creators start at the beginning, and this is you're at the very beginning of this. So if you want to be a storyteller, you want to be an illustrator, however way you want to tell your story, just lean into it and don't be afraid to try.
Yeah, yeah. That's good advice for kids as well as for adults. Um,
Yes,
yeah, so
we
it's
all
something.
do need to be reminded of that. I remind myself that frequently.
Yep. Um, and then you also have Draw with Mr. Mike here on your YouTube channel. For
Yes.
those little people who want to learn how to draw. This is a
Yeah.
great resource. It's a great resource.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I love trying to find different ways to tie it all together, and the drawing aspect, doing the draw along activity is a nice entry point if you're doing like a themed book for like a teacher who wants to do like a brain break, if they're doing like a themed draw along project for a book that they're introducing or a subject they're introducing. Say they're talking about like, I don't know if they're happy to be talking about spaghetti or flying pigs or just any sort of like way this is if it's a spring theme and you want to talk about bunnies, or I have lots of different drawing episodes maybe about daffodils or spiders for Halloween or jack-o'-lanterns. um, there are different entry points to bring in the drawing and then tie it to the reading. And I try to keep them, these episodes are probably about 10 to 15 minutes long, just as something that kids can do at school or at home, and just keep that engagement going and to build the confidence, because a lot of times kids will stop themselves before they started, but once they see what they're capable of by just following along one step at a time, it's amazing to see not only at my school visits, but the drawings that kids send me of the drawings that they reproduce. They're doing phenomenal, like phenomenal drawings here that they're like 3-year-olds are doing it. They're following along with, and that's right when the age starts that they're able to put these shapes together
Mhm.
and make these characters, which is awesome. I love to see it.
Yeah, and your videos are actually really engaging too. When I watched them, I felt like I was watching Blue's Clues and Bob Ross all at the same time. So I feel like if people check this out, they're really going to appreciate what you created.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So the last was I'm gonna skip over some things because I
Okay.
know we're running short on time. Check out all of these lunch bags if you get a chance. Mike, I really appreciate how you have taken your skills and put them in different ways where you can market yourself and let people know what you're doing out here. And I think that this is a great way to actually show people that there's simpler things that you can do that they can follow along with on a regular basis? Like, how long does it take you to do a lunch bag like this?
Oh, it could be 15 minutes. It could take a half hour per lunch bag. It just depends. I film them all as time lapse.
Okay.
Um, but I try to keep it short because I don't want them to be too extensive when I'm doing them. But yeah, I try to keep, I'd say 15 to 20 minutes is about the average for
And
each one.
how did you get into doing these?
So my kids bring bags, snack bags for a rec camp in the summer. During the school year, they bring a lunch bag. So I don't send the lunch bag. They bring a lunch box, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
for the school year. But in the summer, they bring the brown bag for snacks. And I started drawing on it because I see a bunch of artists do this where they'll just do a drawing. And I did not invent this. We all know that, but it's just something that I do in the summers for my kids. So I have twin boys that are 9, and I do 2 lunch bags a night, and it's just something they look forward to. So they come up with a lot of the ideas where I say, okay, what am I drawing today? And they'll tell me what to draw. So I'll come up with a character and I'll do it. And sometimes they draw along with me and they do their own. Um, and we just come up with some silly ideas and then put them on lunch bags.
Yeah, yeah, I love this. This is a great idea. Everybody has their own way of, sharing their work and letting people know what they do out in the world. But I think it's important for illustrators to put themselves out there. A lot of times we're in our own spaces, drawing and doing our own thing. It can be kind of solitary, but we have to have the confidence to put ourselves out there as well. So I think you do that very well, and you've shown it very well on your website too.
So much for thinking so.
Mm.
I look at it like I can try it. If it works, I'll keep doing it for a little while and build it. If it doesn't work, I can always stop,
Mm.
right? And it doesn't have to it's not the end of the world if I try and it doesn't succeed with, if I only do 20 bags, that's fine. If I do 5 bags, that's okay. It's
Yeah.
nobody's making me do lunch bags every night.
I'm sure your kids might ask for it though.
They might, yeah, they may have something to do with it. You didn't draw me a lunch bag today.
Right. Do you have a booking agent as well, to kind of help
Yes,
with
for school
people?
visits.
Yeah. How did you
Yes.
get that, and at what point did you know that you needed to get a booking agent?
Well, I probably when I started getting my requests for a school visit mixed up. I would have I'm trying to follow the emails to the school visit, so it got to a point where it's difficult for me to keep it all straight. And I didn't seek out the booking agent. It kind of happened. I was at Rye Book Festival, and Pat Shores was sitting across from me, and Pat is the illustrator for the Biscuit books. And Pat saw my videos on my Draw with Mr. Mike videos that I was displaying on the table, and she walked over and she said, "Do you do school visits?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." She's like, "Do you have a booking agent?" And I said, "No, I just do everything, word of mouth or my reaching out to different schools." And she said, "Well, if you're interested, I think I'd like to introduce you to my booking agent because I think that it would be a good addition for her." So she did. She set up the introduction through email. And Allison Hickey is the booking agent for It's Booked Authors is the agency. And I looked at their roster of authors. I was like, wow, that's very impressive. So I was unsure if she would be interested in what I was able to offer, but she said to send a video of some of my work, of it's a recording of one of my presentations, which I did. And she looked at my books, and then she made a decision that eventually, we went back and forth for a little bit, that she would like to represent me, and which was excellent because it's been a wonderful relationship and we're really building something really cool. But she's great because she thinks about it from what does the school need? What is the school looking for? And I just think that's a great way to think about it. It's not just like, do you need an author? I can give you an author. It's what are you trying to do with your with learning? What are you trying to get? Do you want to do chapter books? If you want to do chapter books, what are you trying to focus on? Do you want a drawing lesson involved? Do you want an author illustrator? Do you want to do story building? What do you want to do nonfiction? She has a whole bunch of different authors that can serve those purposes for what they're trying to accomplish at the school. And it's nice to be part of that mix because it's helped me think about what I'm bringing to schools, how I'm engaging with the students, but also the teachers, and then how to maintain that relationship afterwards. Because a successful school visit, everybody's going to get something out of it, not just the students and the author. I mean, the teachers are going to want to have you back. maybe not the next year, but you getting into a cycle where you get invited back every few years would be excellent because there's a whole new group of kids coming in every year, which is really it's amazing to be able to go back and visit. So there's a few schools now that I've have repeat visits with that I get to have a rapport now with the teachers over a period of time. And it's nice to go back and visit and say, oh, remember this from this visit or remember that. So yeah, the evolving the whole school visit and having the booking agent has really helped quite a bit.
Your visits look like they're very engaging too, so I'm not surprised
Thank
that
you.
they asked you back. So,
Thank you very much.
so we're at the end of our time, but I really want you to let people know how they can learn more about your work, and if you have any more books that are coming out that we need to be on the lookout for.
I do have a book coming out. Thank you for asking.
Uh-huh.
A book coming out in June with Lisa Katzenberger. It's Lisa Katzenberger's book called Croc and Gator. It's a chapter book series published by Pixel and Ink that comes out in June. And that's the first in the series. And then I have my next author illustrated book with FSG Macmillan that I mentioned before, Leonard Builds a Haunted House. And that'll come out in July of 25.
Yeah.
And if you want to find me, you can find me on Instagram. I believe my link is in my SCBWI profile, Instagram or on Facebook. I'm also on LinkedIn. And you can also visit my website. But
Perfect.
thank you so much for asking and thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. So, good to talk to
It's
you.
an honor. It's an honor to be the featured illustrator. I am such a fan of SCBWI and everything you do for all of us. So
Yeah.
thank you very much, SCBWI, for getting me on this path. Because before I always talked about, I'm sorry, I'm going over time here, Tamika.
You're fine. You're good.
But before I found SCBWI, I always said, oh, someday I want to work on a children's book, but I didn't know what that meant. And actually going to a conference and learning and going through workshops and meeting people that were actually creating the work showed me how to get on the path and actually going through the portfolio reviews. I remember my first portfolio review in 2015 with Sahu Fuji from Little Brown. Um, it was not a children's book, children's illustrator portfolio. And I told her that. I said, I want to level set and see what I need to do to go forward. So I've met with Saho, I think 3 times now through this journey. And I check in every now and then and say, okay, I'm here. I'm here. So hopefully someday we'll get to work on a book together. But it was such a great starting point to have that and start that whole journey and see, how far I can take this. So thank you, SCBWI.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Mike. I'm so happy that you were able to talk with me today. We will be circling back soon, but thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.